in by Naki Wells.
You're watching Bermuda Tonight. It's Monday, January 28th, 2019. I'm Diane Brewer, and thank you for joining us tonight. Ascendant Group, the parent company of Belco, has announced it has put itself up for sale. Our Gary Moreno first broke the story last month. A statement from the company today says the price of Ascendant shares has been increased from $5 to $17 over the last 5 years. The statement continues, "We know our Belco customers want lower rates, and we are effectively focused on reducing these through finding efficiencies in how we operate every aspect of our company," end quote. Ascendant notes that current infrastructure improvements to the electricity system include replacement generators that will ensure a cost-effective, reliable supply of energy for the foreseeable future, irrespective of any additional generation services. In other news, the government must do more to work with the private sector to help ease the burden on those who are struggling financially. That's the view of the opposition leader, Craig Canadair, in reaction to the island's high cost of living and continued reports of people struggling on financial assistance. Mr. Canadair says the PLP government has failed to work with the private sector in the way his OBA government did to achieve a 10% discount on Wednesdays.
December 2013. The new OBA government throne speech contains a welcome announcement that 3 major grocery chains have agreed to offer the public 10% discounts on Wednesdays, up from the normal 5%. The scheme was temporary and lasted 1 year.
At the moment, you have
the announcement was praised by most sectors of the community at a time when unemployment figures were on the rise. Fast forward to today, when now opposition leader Craig Canadair says the PLP government should be following the example of the OBA government and forge greater cooperation with the private sector to achieve relief for those struggling the most.
If you go back to the prices, even if you're getting financial assistance, the cost of goods in Bermuda are extremely high.
Mr. Canadair says one of the first initiatives under his OBA government was working with the Marketplace, Supermart, and Lindo's group of companies to achieve a temporary 10% weekly discount for the public on Wednesdays.
If you go back when we became the government in December of 2012, the first thing that I approached was the grocery stores. And we put in place a discount plan for the general public to get its groceries at a better price. We now need to start cooperating with the private sector to see how we can assist and help them in providing better cost to everyone in Bermuda, and especially to those who are in need.
Mr. Canadair is puzzled as to why the PLP government has yet to follow suit.
I haven't seen that kind of a thing happen. What I am seeing is that there's more taxes, and more taxes coming that is creating a burden on the private sector who can no longer at this point pay its taxes now. And now we're going to infringe upon them even more taxes. This is a troubling affair for Bermudians, and we have got to get together and figure out what those answers are.
The OBA leader adamant that relief for groceries isn't the only area the government can help with.
I mean, operating from groceries to operating your own business, it is extremely expensive. We've got to find a better way. I would like to see this government concentrating on those things as opposed to concentrating on all we hear is fintech, 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 and really start looking at what's affecting Bermuda and what's going to relieve it. Immigration is the topic, the hot button. And if we don't get more people here working, if we don't get more Bermudians back to the table, working along with the people that we bring in, we will continue to see this economy spiral out of control.
Spiraling out of control, he adds, and he says plunging into another recession. Tarai Trott reporting for Bermuda Broadcasting News.
However, the Home Affairs Minister, Walter Urban, hitting back, saying Mr. Canadair is not being honest about his former government's record.
The opposition leader is clearly practicing fake news and amnesia as to the real record of his former administration, and where they didn't provide jobs for Bermudians who are desperately looking for jobs. They lost 2,000 jobs, and they failed to create the 2,000 that they pledged. They also failed to have any sustaining working relationship with business that would have helped to bring down the cost of living for so many hard-working Bermudians who were suffering. Instead, we were faced with perhaps the highest increase in taxes in the history of Bermuda by the OBA. But one thing I'll spend my time trying to talk about is not what the OBA did, but what the PLP is doing, Mr. Trott. We've already slashed taxes for every Bermudian less than $96,000 a year earning. We provided new tax relief for entrepreneurs, and we slashed the taxes and fees for taxi drivers. And we've eliminated the tax for disabled persons, creating an incentive for business to hire them so that they can have work. So we have worked to bring down costs and slash taxes. They seem to believe, based on the pre-budget report, that there's been an increase in taxes. Well, those are just ideas for the public to consider. It is our intent, as we pledge, is to bring down the cost of living for our citizens.
Coming up, your latest weather forecast, sports, and more after the break. Stay tuned.
At Argus, our interest is you. Each of you. Around here, we know that when two people seem the same, they can have very different insurance needs. For their health, home, work, and future. Which is why we take the time to get to know you as an individual, so we can provide insurance coverage that fits your life. Because after all, our interest is you.
Meet Cal. Cal is a consumer. Just a year ago, Cal didn't know much about industry regulation or why it even mattered. Then Cal went to a town hall meeting, read the flyer sent to his house, and looked at the regulatory authority's new website. He even did some research on his own. Now he can see how regulating electricity protects consumers and ensures our power supply is safe, reliable, and sustainable. And he knows more about the regulations that improve the overall service of Bermuda's phone, internet, and cable companies. And there's more to look forward to. In 2019, the authority will share information on important matters like the cost of electricity, consumer protection regulations, and net neutrality, also known as open internet. You too can start learning today at the authority's website and stay up to date with all that we're doing on our Facebook page. For 2019, the Regulatory Authority wishes you a safe, happy, and well-informed year.
Welcome back. Deputy Opposition Leader Leah Scott says enough is enough. It's time for a new bus roster. Mike Sharp brings us up to speed.
The lack of public transportation issue has been dragging on too long, with people's jobs on the line. The time to fix this matter is now, says OBA Deputy Leader Leah Scott.
Still nothing. So they have been talking about this. Well, and the thing is that they're calling it the schedule, but they need to address it as the roster because they are two different things. The bus schedule is the times that the buses are going to run. The roster is when the bus drivers are actually scheduled to drive the buses on the bus routes. And I don't know what the problem is in terms of getting the roster sorted out, but I think, as I said to you previously, we've got a Canadian consultant that is supposed to be assisting us with having a roster that will work for Bermuda. How many years later, we still don't have it?
The OBA's second in command said times are tough and people need to get to work and keep their jobs.
You know, Mike, we're dealing with some really stressful times. People are losing jobs. People are having a hard time making ends meet. And, you know, it may seem like a really small thing, but at least having a reliable form of transportation to get you to work or to the doctor or wherever it is that you need to be is important. And it's sometimes during times when we're really stressed that the small things make a big difference.
Ms. Scott added that it's time for everyone to pull together.
I think that we are at a stage now where we can't play politics. And, you know, I'm not one of those people that likes all of the political games. We've all got to come together because this is about Bermuda as a country. And whether we're PLP, OBA, whatever, you know, we all live here in Bermuda, and we all want what's going to be best for Bermuda. And, you know, if that means that we have to just down tools and everybody come together, and I don't mean just the political parties, but the community, and not just international business as a community, because while they do make up a great deal of or a great portion of our revenue, our community consists of all kinds. And ideas don't necessarily come from those that are making $1 million or $6 million or $7 million. You know, somebody can have a simple idea that can make a great difference in this country. But we've got to work together.
On a slightly separate matter, what can and must be done to reduce the cost of living?
There are many things that need to be looked at in terms of reducing the cost of living in Bermuda. It's not just imposing a living wage, and I think we may have had this conversation before, but we need to look at the things that we can address to bring the cost of living down. And again, that means bringing minds together and bringing people to talk about those things. Right now, with the number of people that are losing jobs, it's going to be a greater financial burden on the government because people are going to require financial assistance. And so, you know, you don't tax your way out of debt. That's not the answer. But we've got to be able to come up with some solutions that everybody can live with. And it's going to be a challenge, you know. I don't envy the government in its current position with the things that they have to do. And it's a position where people are not going to be happy. But, you know, the government has got to make the tough decisions. And in making those tough decisions, it has to be done with an education to the public and good communication.
And I'm Mike Sharp with Bermuda Broadcasting News.
Thanks, Michael. Turning to weather news, a pleasant day today. However, more rain on the way for our Tuesday. Let's go to AccuWeather headquarters now for the details.
AccuWeather is presented by BF&M Insurance Group. We now go to AccuWeather headquarters.
The BF&M Insurance Group is pleased to bring you tonight's AccuWeather forecast. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Brittany Boyer. I hope you had a good weekend. I know we're back at Monday. Hopefully this week will go fairly quickly. We will have some rain, though, of the week, and then we will see some slightly cooler temperatures as we head. What we have happening here is a cold front. You can actually track it all the way down south here, and along that cold front there is going to be a storm kind of riding along it, and we are looking at the opportunity of some heavy rainfall, even a thunderstorm possible as we head into Tuesday, and even as early as tonight we will have the chance for some showers in the area. You can see, looking at the radar right now, close to home, pretty active with that rain just off to our north and west, so heads up, it is going to be getting a little bit on the wet side here. One thing that we have had to our advantage is that temperatures have been trending milder than where we typically are for this time of the year. Our typical average high temperatures are in the upper 60s, actually still above that right now on this Monday evening with temperatures in the low 70s. The winds are coming in out of the south, so we're getting some of that mild air moving into the area, but it is breezy out there with winds 15 to 25 knots. The water temperature's down to 65 degrees, a little chilly. Yeah, we are in late January here. And waves outside of the reef definitely on the choppier side ahead of that boundary there between 6 and 12 feet. So heads up for anybody that might be happening to be heading out toward the water, although it is quite choppy right now. As we look at the alerts here, we do have a small craft warning through Tuesday afternoon, and you can see our tidal times right over here. We have low tide coming in just before 9 p.m. tonight, and then our high tide coming in just after 3 a.m. on Tuesday. And for tonight, as I mentioned, we will allow for at least some showers in the area. We will stay on the breezy side here with a low of 67. Another day tomorrow in the 70s. However, we will have periods of rain developing and possibly even a thunderstorm as well. So always remember, when thunder roars, you want to go indoors. If you can hear thunder, lightning can strike you, and lightning can be deadly. Low of 62 degrees for tomorrow night. And as we look at things with our future cast here, you can see that we are quite under an unsettled pattern, at least for Tuesday, even into Wednesday. Some of this might be kind of lurking around here, so even Wednesday will still allow for some showers and also lots of clouds as well. And then eventually it will be turning cooler later on in the week. We do have some showers impacting Jamaica, Barbados, and Trinidad. You saw that frontal boundary is pretty far south right now. And looking ahead at the East Coast tomorrow, we will see some rain and also some snow, and then a big cool down on the way for the East Coast with a very chilly air mass on the way. Here's our extended forecast. We've got the rain on Tuesday with a thunderstorm possible, even lingering into Wednesday, and then temperatures start to go on the decline here, but at least more sunshine as we head closer to the weekend.
AccuWeather was presented by BF&M Insurance Group.
I was diagnosed with illness very frightening because my son had just turned 1 and it was a cancer. So I'm young, new baby, and I needed to get the care that I knew would be definitive so that I wanted to be around for him for a very long time. I got in contact with BF&M, and BF&M was able to commit at that time to doing at least 50%, so we were comfortable, okay, well, we're gonna go. We got off the plane, actually, the day of the procedure, and on my way to the limo, my case manager called and she says, Kiana, we got it, you're covered at 100%. And I cried all the way to the office because I was just so happy. The BF&M difference is that I really felt that the case manager really was concerned about my overall care. And because of that, I really appreciated them. I think that personal care, that willingness to listen, and then to work until they were able to get it so that I could get full coverage really made the difference for me.
From the very beginning, it was always our singular focus to do whatever it takes, use every possible resource to fight cancer, and never lose sight of the patients we're fighting for. Our cancer treatment specialists share the same vision. Experts from all over the world working closely together to deliver truly personalized cancer care. And these are the specialists we're proud to call our own. Expert medicine works here. Learn more at cancercenter.com. Appointments available now.
Hello, I am Diallo Rabane, Minister of Education and a parent of a student in the Bermuda public school system. The ministry and the Department of Education are hard at work providing an education system that ensures our children receive an education that prepares them to be competent and competitive participants in the working world. We are tackling infrastructure, grading, teaching quality and resources, curriculum, and student behavior and social needs. We are leaving no stone unturned to make sure that every child receives an education they need to reach their goals. This is a process that will take time, but we are committed to seeing the process through. To reach our goals, we need support from parents, teachers, and the community. We are asking you to reach out to your school and ask how you can get involved to support our students. For more information, visit www.moed.bm.
This is a message from the government of Bermuda.
And you're watching Bermuda Tonight. So what if you could extend your life by simply knowing your genetic predisposition to certain diseases? Well, that's the topic of discussion by Bermudian biochemist and researcher at the University of Oxford, Dr. Karika Weldon, who is a guest speaker at the Bermuda College's Carange Science Week. More now in this report.
DNA is described as the biological blueprint that holds your genetic information such as eye color. It's the roadmap to the future of health, so says Dr. Karika Weldon. Dr. Weldon spends her days in the lab at the University of Oxford in their sequencing department, developing methods of interpreting genetic code.
There's loads of different ways that you can actually look at your DNA and see how is this going to affect my lifestyle.
Many countries are in the process of developing a genome reference guide to help predict future health concerns like cancers, Alzheimer's, or diabetes.
We have 10% more DNA than those who are of European descent, but you wouldn't know that. And when you sequence that, you would think, oh, this is something that's wrong, but no, it's just different ethnic backgrounds have different quirks in their DNA. And so we need to have our own Bermuda reference genome so that when we're looking to see what's wrong with us, cancer's a big issue, diabetes is a big issue. If we're trying to see if it's genetic, we need to have a reference to say, okay, this is how it should be.
The ambitious Human Genome Project saw 100,000 people have their entire genetic code sequenced, which finished last year. Since then, advances in technology has made DNA sequencing much more affordable.
We need people that are Bermudian to come forward. The plan is to have this kind of in the next few years, so watch this space. And we would then be able to train Bermudians to sequence. So I don't know if I can show you. This is a DNA sequencer. I literally brought it in my suitcase or in my carry-on. It's very small, it's very light, it's not heavy at all. This technology we would be able to set up here in Bermuda and teach Bermudians, hopefully do the college as well, how to do this.
Dr. Weldon is looking for volunteers to have their DNA sequenced this Wednesday at 5 p.m., an hour before her presentation at the Bermuda College North Hall. It's a continuation of the mini genetic study on the link between diabetes and sugar preference, co-chaired by BHS student Cameron Young.
Having information, and this is in any field, is great, but it's what you do with it. So it would be great to know that, okay, I might have a higher risk of getting diabetes or cancer, but if you don't act on it, then that information is useless. And so that would have to go hand in hand with what we call genetic counseling, so that you know, okay, you have this particular risk factor, this is what you can do in order to, prepare yourself or better your prospects of not getting this disease.
The free lecture is open to all in the public, and Dr. Weldon will be on hand to answer questions on data security and privacy laws as it relates to gene sequencing. Jasmine Patterson reporting for Bermuda Broadcasting News.
Thanks, Jasmine. Well, Earl Basin will have your weekend sports roundup after this short break. Stay with us.
At the Bermuda Festival, civil rights takes center stage in January. Singer-activist Nina Simone believed an artist's responsibility is to reflect the times. Set against the framework of one of her most blistering songs, the play Nina Simone, 4 Women, gives voice to 4 women who suffered from self-hatred due to the different hues of their skin. The production includes some of Nina Simone's most popular civil rights anthems. For tickets, visit ptix or bermudafestival.org. 44th Annual Bermuda Festival.
New Toyota Rush, Bermuda's biggest SUV with 7 seats. There's always plenty of room. Available at Bermuda Motors.
Now here's Earl Basin with a look at the weekend of sports.
Lamont Marshall broke the Bermuda indoor 5,000-meter record while competing at the John Thomas Terrier Classic at the Boston University. Marshall, running in Section 1, finished 7th, clocking a time of 14:16.67. This time batters the old record of 14:22.19 he set at the same event a year ago. Dej Minus also competed at the Classic. Minus would finish second in the men's 800-meter race, clocking a time of 1:48.98. A total of 31 goals were scored in 5 combined Premier and First Division matches played yesterday. In the Premier Division, Sequoia Robinson would score 4 times to lead the PHC Zebras to an 8-2 win over the Boulevard Blazers. Trey Ming would add 2 goals, while Couché Hippolyte and Zakiah Lee would add a goal each. Clay Darrell and Danya Taylor scored a goal each for the Boulevard Blazers. In First Division play, it was St. David's 1, Southampton Rangers 2, Island Rangers 0, Somerset Eagles 12. Wolves 3, Vasco 1, St. George's Colts 1, Hamilton Parish 1. Krista Swanick and Dion Berry are the 2019 Butterfield and Vallis 5K male and female champions. As Swanick comfortably won the road race, his first of the year on local soil, clocking a time of 15:53. Youngster John Dow Cumberbatch was second across the line in a time of 17:18, and Tim Price finished third in a time of 17:26. Brewery was the 12th runner to cross the line. She clocked a time of 19:11. Gail Lindsay was the second female finisher and 13th overall in a time of 19:28, and crossing the line 18th overall was the third female finisher, Laura Graham, who had a time of 20:23. Final swim meet before the 2019 Carifta Swimming Championship team is selected was held at the Bassa Pool on Saturday. Zebedee Wakely took full advantage of the opportunity to hit his second qualifying time during the men's 15 and over 100-meter butterfly, which makes him eligible for selection as he touched the wall in a winning time of 59:19. Vanessa James and her partner Morgan Zyper struck gold, becoming the first European pair skate champion from France since 1932 as the ISU European Figure Skating Championships continued with pairs free skating. Bermuda Football Championship concluded at the Port Royal Golf Course yesterday in wet conditions. In the men's championship division, the team of Jared Dillis and Damian Paliande extended their overnight lead and won by a comfortable margin of 7 strokes over second-place finishers Eric West and Spencer Weidman. In the ladies division, despite a concerted effort on part of last year's winners, Katrin Burney and Linda Down managed to maintain their lead and become the ladies' champions by 4 strokes over Tracy Burgess and Ann Simons. It was a rare sweep for teams in the blue at the Bermuda School Sports Federation's All-Star Netball matches that took place inside the Summersfield Academy on Friday evening. In the primary school girls match, the East would take the win 14-11. The East would win 16-13 in the middle school match, and the blue team outlasted the red team to win 27-20 in the senior school match. The Barclay Institute Wonder Twins of Nabila and Kamala Nazir won MVP honors for their respective teams. Kamala led the blue team with 11 goals, while Nabila was the night's top scorer with 17 goals. 3 matches were postponed due to inclement weather, but 3 matches went ahead as the Bermuda School Sports Federation's All-Star Weekend continued with football at the National Sports Center on Saturday. In the middle school boys match, the East would win 2-1. The senior school girls match went to kicks from the penalty mark that would see the West win 5-4 after the teams finished deadlock at 3-3. In the senior school boys match, Janico Seeley from Barclay and his schoolmate Jazz Butterfield and Bermuda Institute forward Armand Foy scored for the West in their 3-0 win over the East. A team of 7 archers from Gull Point Archery traveled to Pennsylvania to compete in the 2019 Lancaster Archery Classic. Jaden Roberts finished 30th in the youth male recurve 11-17 division with a score of 481 points after 60 arrows, while Ashley Weeks finished 23rd competing in the youth female recurve 11-17 division with a score of 437 points after 60 arrows. 4 Bermuda archers competed in the men's recurve division and all had personal best scores. Cameron Pickering finished 26th with a score of 551 points after 60 arrows. Ernest McCallan finished 42nd with a score of 516 points. Robert O'Connor finished 62nd with a score of 474 points. And Anthony Grant finished 75th with a score of 372 points. Ed Sevilla finished 104th competing in the bare bow division that saw a combined men's and women's event with 198 archers. Sevilla will finish with a score of 470 points. In rugby league action at the National Sports Center on Saturday, the Police Ladies defeated the Teachers Ladies 51-5 in the opener. The second game of the day saw the Renegades Ladies defeat the Mariners Ladies 24-0. In men's division action, the Police earned a hard-fought 27-12 victory over the Teachers. In the final match of the day, the Renegades defeated the Mariners 55-10. Rain could not dampen the day as some 50 participants took part in the Paddle for Paralympics riding from Dockyard to St. George yesterday. Bermuda's 2-time Paralympian Jessica Lewis took time to roll her chair along Kinley Field with groups of cyclists as they rode along. I'm Earl Basden with Bermuda Broadcasting Sports.
Thanks, Earl. Well, Bermuda's oldest cup match player, Leroy "Tubby" Richardson, sadly passed away earlier today. Mr. Richardson began his cup match career in 1941, and he would also go on to captain the St. George's Cricket Club in the Classic. Earl Basden looks back at Mr. Richardson's cup match numbers, and an interview back in 2017 revealed his best performance in the Classic.
The Bermuda cricket community is today mourning the passing of former St. George's Cricket Club Cup match captain Leroy "Tubby" Richardson. Richardson, who played his first cup match back in 1941 and finished in 1955, scored a total of 144 runs during his time. He would also claim a total of 15 wickets and held on to 10 catches. In an interview back in 2017, Richardson said his best performance in cup match came in
51, I beg your pardon, when we beat Somerset by 7 wickets, and I happen to be the, one might say, the best bowling performance, which was in fact 22 overs, 6 maidens, 9 wickets for 56. And further to that, we were in a dire strait, as it were, near the end of the match while I was batting. And I went in as number 9 batsman, and at the stage I had struggled to get runs. and I batted for 1 hour and 10 minutes and scored 8 runs. This was why the other batsman was getting on a few runs to get us out of a deep rut, so to speak. And further to that, I was classified as the man of the match. I also, by the way, took a diving catch of Mr. Proctor, as it were, to start the second innings.
And we here at the Bermuda Broadcasting Company send our sincerest condolences to Mr. Richardson's family and friends. That's our newscast for tonight. I'm Diane Brewer. Thank you for sharing your Monday evening with us, everyone. Hope to see you back here tomorrow night, same time, same place. Good night.